Hi guys, and hello to the Silver Wolves. Okay, today we're going to do a little quick cooking project. We're going to talk a little bit about materials and how-to at the campsite to try to help you out and show you how I do it at the campsite. This came about of years of doing it, fumbling, getting it wrong, screwing up, dropping your meal onto the dirt, things like that. So let me share with you how I'm going to do this. First of all, let's talk about components. Okay, in a lot of the videos you see out there, they're talking about these cool handle skillets. These are fantastic for camp skillets. They have some real strengths and one or two weaknesses. Okay, but what about good old cast iron? Well, both of these were seen a lot in the frontier kitchens once this became available. Definitely in the 1800s, these were the prevalent, and a kitchen would have both. Why? Well, cast iron, as we know, is super hard, super durable, cooks beautifully, and etc. But it's bigger, thicker, and it heats up slower. It also holds the heat longer. That means if I'm doing something like frying with oil, and I want to put this up there and get it up to a certain temp, and then when I put a piece of meat in, it doesn't drop, lower the temperature so fast, this will hold heat. Remember, these were on a wood stove or on a campfire, which isn't your modern turn the little dial and it comes up to a certain temp. That's a relatively modern idea. When these were being used, heat went up and down as the wind blew and the coals got hotter. Then the wind died and the coals got cooler. You were constantly in an adjusting heat battle of trying to keep and maintain a heat. So this was an advantage when I needed to do long cooking and I needed to kind of take out those highs and lows. On the other hand, this was a distinct advantage when I needed to cook quickly because this heated up almost instantly to cooking temp. So on a relatively small fire and using relatively little wood, you got to remember now, when we're thinking eastern woodland, but think about them people out on the Great Plains where your only fuel source was grass or buffalo chips. That was it. And you didn't want to use a half a cord of wood to cook something because it was too hard to get it. When you found it, you harvested it and you carried it with you because it was so rare out there. Like willows or something along the edge of a creek or something you'd find, or a river. You'd harvest them and carry them for when you needed wood. The rest of the time you're doing off of buffalo chips. And something that could heat up and cook really quick was a distinct advantage because it would peak, I could cook and be done with it and not have to forage so far for firewood. This is better when I'm trying to cook long and slow or maintain a temp, like in frying, baking, etc. Or I'm doing something kind of delicate that I want to bring it out, I want to get this hot and then kind of drift it off the fire and use the heat in the pan to cook. And this is something when I want to cook in a hurry or with very little muss fuss and very little fuel use. And that's what we're going to be using today is this one. We're going to grill a steak. Not grill it, excuse me, pan fry, pan sear a steak. And I'm going to show you my technique for the way I do it. Okay? Let me readjust the camera and I'll show you the rest of the accoutrements. Okay, we have 2 sirloin steaks right there. Then what I have done is I have put them into a Ziploc bag and I have coated them with lime juice for the past hour. This will help tenderize them. If you're wanting to do a marinade of some kind and then take it to camp, what I recommend you do is you marinate it in home for however long you want to do it, then put it into a freezer quart bag or whatever size, proper size bag, put it in the freezer, freeze it solid, and then wrap it up with aluminum foil and then bring it to camp to cook it. That way it's frozen when you're getting there and by that night it is thawed out. So it's not sitting in a cooler all day, just sitting there. Okay, just works better. So these steaks are now ready for me to grill. I have my cool handle pan. I make sure that my stove is going to be relatively stable so that when I sit here and hold it, it's not really severe downhill one way or the other. I will play it around till I find out that it is relatively level. Now a lot of these cool handles will be a little bowed up or down. Mine's bowed outward So it's going to be a little bit up, but it's relatively level. Okay, so I got lime juice, I've done that. I've got my steaks. When I pull them out, I'm going to season them. So I need a seasoning paper plate. I'm going to use butter in the pan, and I'm going to season the steaks with garlic powder, pepper, salt, and a little bit of stuff called red-eyed hog that I picked up at Georgia Bushcraft. That will be the seasoning plate. Now once I season in that, because this is raw steaks, that one's contaminated. Then I have tongs to pick up and flip the steak. Yes, you can use a fork, but realize you're poking holes in the meat every time, and that can allow juices to get out of it. We want to sear it to begin with to seal those juices in. We don't want to start poking holes in it, so I use tongs. I have a clean plate for whenever it comes out. I also carry the aluminum foil. The aluminum foil is for the resting, and what that means in English is when I pull the steaks off, I'm going to put them in the aluminum foil and wrap them up and let them sit for about 10 minutes to rest. When you're cooking it, you're bringing the internal temperature up to the point that it's wanting to turn to steam. It's expanding, and all that juice wants to go somewhere. That's the reason we sear it, to keep it from flowing out of the steak and making the steak dry. Right after it's been pulled off the heat, don't cut it, because you want it to have time to cool and those juices flow back to where they're supposed to be, so you'll have a juicy steak. So let's now season this steaks right quick. Like I said, they've been in lime juice about an hour now. And what lime juice does is it tenderizes it. It helps break down the tissue. If you leave it in there too long, it'll actually kind of dissolve the steak, so don't do that. Now, take a little bit of garlic powder. Open up the salt, the pepper. Don't be afraid to put spices on. Open up the salt shaker. Always test over here instead over it before you find out you're about to dump a huge amount on there. And then finally, just put a little bit of red-eyed hog. Red-eyed hog is a little spicy mix, not too hot, but I like the flavor it gives meat. Alright, turn it over. Repeat. Alright, now we've done that, let me get my stove going and we'll start cooking. Okay, had a little technical difficulty. Now what I've done now is I've had to change stoves, most of them wouldn't light up. And I've put my pan up there and you see it's starting to smoke. That's what I want to see. I want to get this pan hot because I'm about to sear. And I'm going to take the butter, come off, and I'm going to real quick do that. And then I'm going to put that took like 30 seconds for that pan to come up to heat like that. And I'm going to let that go for about 30-40 seconds, just like that. I'm going to sear that side, making sure I'm in full contact. Make sure to move your pan around the heat a little bit in case you got a hot spot. We do the same thing with a Dutch oven. Move the handle around, keep that heat even around it. Okay. Now that I've done that side, now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to let that side sear. This paper plate is now dirty, remember? So it will be removed and go underneath the good pan. I got my butter ready for the final step here in a minute. Just gonna let this sear for about a minute on each side like this. Again, keep moving that pan around. Look how fast it goes to, them juices go to boiling whenever I put it directly over the heat. Like a blowtorch. Now these steaks are about a 1/2 inch thick. Keep them from sticking, move your meat around a little bit. By me heating and cooking this other side first, I've seared it in to keep those juices in. Alright, that'll be awful close to a minute. Now I'm going to come off and I'm going to take my heat down low. Slow it down now. Right there. Go back on the heat. And now the rest of that butter in there with it. There's still plenty of heat to cook with, as you can tell. That pan heats so fast. And with the non-stick coating, because of all the carbon buildup, it's going to keep it from sticking. Now we'll let this butter coat it. Nice and slow. I'm kind of now frying the steak. I've seared the outside of it. So it's been seared, it's sealed, and now I'm letting the butter do its bit and infuse it. Again, keep moving it around a little bit. When the butter starts to turn dark, move it off the heat a little bit, let it cool off. You want that butter to cook and kind of caramelize. Every so often lift your steak up, let the butter get back up underneath it. These cool handle pans cook very fast when you know how to use them. Smells amazing. Now, I'm sure some steak aficionados will tell me how I'm butchering a steak, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But me and my wife like our steaks rare. So this is almost done for me. It's been seasoned, been infused. I'm going to hit it with just a little bit more of that garlic powder right here at the end. Making sure to get it into that butter. Alright, now see how your butter's bubbling up and turned dark? Now turn off the heat. And let it coast. Nice and easy. One nice rare steak. Now don't, if you want your steak medium or well done, go a little longer. Through trial and error, you'll figure out about how long. Now they'll tell you about how firm it is. Go look at Gordon. He'll tell you about the firmness of your hand. He'll give you an idea of the firmness of the meat. And I can tell you this one is still rare. 3/4 of it rare, which is what me and my wife like. Bloody and rare is how I like it. So I want the outside seared, but I want that inside ready to go. Now, I'm going to take my aluminum foil, lay it up here on this plate, like that. Up here, and I'm going to put my 2 steaks in. Now, if I was going to be cooking this with, say, onions or something like that, I should cook the onions first. That's a great way to heat up the pan and add flavor to the pan, because the taste of the peppers or whatever would be in the pan. And therefore, when I pull them off and I put my steaks in and do my steak sear, I'm ready to go. Now, you want to get real fancy? I take them, I put them in the pan like you saw, and I sear them. After I get done searing them, I take it out, I add in my butter, and then I saute my peppers, my onions, whatever it is I'm cooking with it. I then take that off, and then I put the steak back into it. That might be a flavor you like as well. Now this will clean up super easy. All I got to do is add water to it and heat it back up. All this will float off the bottom. I pour it out and wipe it out, and I'm ready to go. Super simple and easy. And that is how Blackie pan sears steaks. I like my steaks to be flavorful. I like them to be tender. I'm an old silver wolf. I ain't got good teeth anymore, so I can't chew into a piece of shoe leather. It's got to be tender. And usually the medium and then on into the well done gets a little tough where I just can't chew it worth a flip. But rare was always something I preferred, and it's easier for me to eat that way. Now, the temperature. I got the temperature up in this meat. This is really about almost too hot for me to hold my hand even now, wrapped up. How long will I keep it wrapped up? About 10 minutes. And that will allow those juices to flow back where they're supposed to be. So, for a camp setting, I'd get all my accoutrements ready to go. I'd have my fire going to bring up my bed of coals. If I want to grill it, I grill it. If I don't want to grill it because of time constraints or whatever, I can pan sear it in that cool handle right quick. Could I have used cast iron? Absolutely. It just takes longer because you got to bring the pan up to heat, see. But now what if I was wanting to fry chicken? In that case, that cast iron is far superior, because the oil and all, I have to bring it up to temp and maintain a temp, see. So as I put a piece of chicken in that's relatively cold, that brings everything down. Well, the heat of the pan holding the heat keeps that oil temperature up. But for frying, searing, stuff like that, sauteing, cool handle is far better. Hope you've enjoyed this content, guys. If you have, please hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.